Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe and share the content with friends, relatives, associates, enemies, and anyone in between. I appreciate all the views, so thank you very much for the new subscribers that have come through. All the views on some of the recent videos, there's been way more than I was expecting, so yeah, I can't complain. With that being said, we're ramping up into a pretty big fight week coming up, but there's been a few interesting things that have taken place over the last couple of days, so I figured I would just give my quick takes on those. So without further ado, let's get into it. So on Monday, it was announced that LeighWood would no longer be in his scheduled clash with Mauricio Lara on September the 24th due to an injury. Saw this on Twitter, and as of now, I don't think the injury has been disclosed, but ultimately he's out of that fight, and I think Kid Galahad versus Maxi Hughes is now the main event of that card. Now, from a selfish point of view, I'm actually happy that fight's not going ahead, because I'm gonna be at the Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker fight on the same night in Manchester, and I was a bit salty with Eddie for putting that fight on the same day when there was a totally free weekend the following weekend that you could have put that event on, and I wouldn't have had to split my attention. And obviously that came, I think, a month later than the Joyce and Parker fight was announced, so I'd already bought my tickets. I didn't even have a choice of which one to go to. That's just the one I was getting to. So I mean, with that being said, I get to go there in quite happy impunity. I get to watch Raven Chapman be the very first British female to stop Jorgelina Hornini, which is always going to be a joy. But yeah, that match ain't happening at the moment, and I think the main event now is going to be Kid Galahad versus Maxi Hughes, which again would be a pretty good fight, but it's not the fight everyone was clamoring for. So I wonder how good that card's actually going to do now. But yeah, I don't know what the injury is. I don't know if it's one of those injuries for more time, as we kind of get sometimes, or if it's a legitimate one. Maybe the Lara risk wasn't necessarily worth it, but I'm gonna trust in LeighWood and say that this is a legitimate one. So hope he recovers quickly. Hope that fight can get rescheduled at a later date. I'll definitely see if I can look to get to that, depending on when it is. But yeah, that's that. Like I said, I can't say from a selfish standpoint that I'm unhappy about that, but I do hope he has a speedy recovery. Okay, so this is something I wasn't really too interested to touch on, but there's a couple caveats to it that make me feel like, all right, let me give my take on the whole situation. So on Monday as well, it was noted that ChrisEubank Sr. was threatening or saying that he had pulled ChrisEubank Jr. out of his match with Conor Benn on the 8th of October due to concerns over the weight clauses and having to make a weight that he's not made in 14 years, give or take. Now, initially a lot of people thought, well, that's kind of grandstanding. You don't have any control over that. You don't have any say in how that one goes. And then I still have not listened to the Zoom call in full right now, but I know that basically one of the key points in that was where people said he's like, I've already lost one son, I'm not prepared to lose another. Basically talking and giving some sort of claim that there was only like a £5 rehydration clause, so he could only go from 157 to like 162 or something like that on the night. that's obviously been defunct and is proven to be incorrect, because the rehydration clause that is in the contract itself is actually £11. So Chris is not allowed to weigh in at more than £168 on the morning of the fight. Now, personally, I am not happy with obviously the rehydration clause in itself, especially coming in at under where he's been. It would make more sense to me if, say, it was at 160 and then you had like a £8 or a £9 rehydration clause that way, as opposed to making that the maximum limit and then having but having to go down to 157. All of that is kind of in the contract. This is more talking about Senior and sort of his views. Now, my take on this whole situation personally is that he's concerned by two things. Number one, he's obviously concerned by this weight. That's not something that his son's made in a while, and he knows the damage that can be, that can occur with sort of CT or not having enough fluid around the brain when you're taking those shots, and they're doing more damage because there's less protection for the brain. So he's coming at it from that standpoint. The rehydration thing is also obviously another issue, that you can't get enough fuel back into your body to be safe on that standpoint. And obviously he's talking about ChrisEubank, who tragically died, I think it was at the end of 2020, due to a heart issue. Now, with all of that, I think outside of that part, he's also looking at it from a standpoint of, I don't think you're taking this fight as seriously as you need to be taking this fight, and I'm not prepared for my son to go into this battle undercooked or underprepared or half-baked, or believing this is just going to be a routine victory, because Conor Benn's not looking at this fight like he's just gonna try his best and whatever happens. He's coming in there like, I'm going to take your head off, I'm gonna dethrone you, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna damage you, I'm gonna pay back all the disrespect you've given me times 10. That's how he's coming into this fight, and I think Senior realizes that, and I don't think he thinks that his son is being as professional as he needs to be. And then I think also, maybe on a little third caveat, he's also looking at it from a standpoint of, I haven't suffered a defeat to this family, like, you're not going to disgrace my family name and let a Ben beat you. So if you ain't coming in on the right stuff, then you're not going in there at all, because this is my name that you're about to tarnish. And as much as anyone can say, oh well, Senior's like this mad court gesture, or he's a bit of a clown, like, there's no one that can ever like take away or discredit his boxing ability, his boxing record, or his boxing career. And that, I think, he holds more dear to anything else, especially, with his talk of the Warriors Code. It's like, you always prepare for everyone and every battle like it could be your last. You prepare like you've left nothing to chance, because that's what a warrior does. A warrior goes into every battle believing this could be the last one, and you have to give your everything in that moment. And maybe he doesn't think his son is respecting that Warriors Code. Subsequently, after all of that, though, both Kaylee Sauerland, Eddie Hearn, everyone has come out and said this fight's not in jeopardy, the fight's still going ahead. Senior's got no authority, he's got no name tied to the contract or anything like that. So it's obviously just the talks of a concerned father. I think there might be some kind of situation whereby he gets maybe the weight limit boosted up a tiny bit, or the rehydration clause removed, or moved up a couple pounds to allow maybe some additional rehydration for the fight. But yeah, look, the fight's going ahead. It's you know, there's not going to be any particular issues there. But I think that, yeah, when it comes to senior, I think those are really the issues that he's kind of looking at. Is number one, you're not going to disgrace my family name. Number two, I don't think you're taking this seriously enough, and this guy is. So if that's the case, like, you can't fight. And then also number three, the potential for injury is a lot more severe just because of dropping a weight you've never been to for the longest amount of time, and then also not being able to refuel and rehydrate your body to its natural levels. But we'll see how this one plays out throughout the week and throughout the next couple of weeks. It's probably not going to be much else about it. Like I said, it could just be some grandstanding, but I do kind of see some of the rationale, and those are just my thoughts as to where this particular talk has come from. So yesterday it was shown that 258 management came out and basically said everything that Tyson Fury has asked for in terms of contract negotiation for Anthony Joshua has been accepted. So yesterday came out that 258 came out on Twitter and announced that everything that Tyson Fury and Frank Warren had requested in terms for a fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury has been accepted. That was 60-40 split to Tyson Fury. That was a 50-50 split in the rematch if Anthony Joshua was to win. And that was also that the date would be on December 3rd at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, as opposed to the date of December 17th, which is when Eddie Hearn wanted Anthony Joshua back out. So Joshua has basically given himself 12 weeks to be able to be ready for this fight should it come off. They say the elite athlete should need maybe between 8 to 10 weeks to train. So he's been out of the ring now 2 weeks after the Usyk fight. 3 weeks actually now. 3 weeks after the Usyk fight. Maybe you could take another 2 weeks off. Do you do a training camp? I would assume the best way to do a training camp would be in America, away from everyone. I know it's a different time zone, but go over there 6 to 7 weeks, come back a week and a half, 10 to 12 days to reacclimatize to this time zone, which is your natural time zone. So you should kind of kick back into it fairly quickly, to be honest. But overall, what this just tells me is that if there was a bluff happening, it's now been called. So Anthony Joshua has not made it a difficult issue. Frank Warren came out on Twitter straight after that and said contract will be sent to you shortly. I think every single person in the Twitterverse is currently expecting that contract to come back with something outrageous in it that 258 and Joshua and Hearn are not going to agree to, which is then going to be the catalyst for, they didn't really want it because the terms is all fine. This, there's no problems with these. And lo and behold, okay, so now we're gonna have to move on to someone else. That's the the sphere of the Twitterverse at the moment, believing something's gonna be in that contract that just scuppers the entire deal. Me personally, I don't know. I don't believe really that they particularly wanted this fight as such. I do think it was a case of wanting to use Joshua's name to make the next opponent more palatable. We tried to get the next best guy in there and he didn't want it. But then I also do think that if they've agreed to everything that you've put out there in the media thus far, and it's all been confirmed in writing, it's also not the worst time to take on Anthony Joshua. Coming off back-to-back losses, suffering a bit of a meltdown in the ring, maybe probably the lowest ever confidence he's had. You know, obviously crying in the press conference, so you can tell that his spirit isn't the same at this precise moment. This could be the most opportune time to get him, so you now get to have this you know, the biggest scalp on your resume. You know, you got the cash cow, you get to prove everything that he's what you've been saying he was, this big stiff bodybuilder, big dosser, but you know, you get paid more fighting him with 60% than you would get for anyone else 90%. It all seems like a win-win. Everything seems stacked in Tyson Fury's favor. So I can't see any reason now why they wouldn't take the fight. You know, maybe they had alternative reasons beforehand, but I definitely think now it makes a lot of sense for them to do so. The only thing I would say is, remember Deontay Wilder tried to take Tyson Fury when he thought he was at his lowest, and we see how that panned out. The difference between this one and obviously the Usyk fight is Anthony Joshua has wanted to fight Tyson Fury for the longest time. So there's no reason to believe that he hasn't, for lack of a better phrase, studied Fury like day in and day out for, you know, the last 3, 4, 5 years. He may have obviously been looking and dealing with his opponents, but he's, you know, he may have been looking at Fury or whoever was going to be that WBC champion. So he might have already had a game plan in mind to take him on. And we all know what they say about wounded animals, like they're the most dangerous. Well, he's definitely wounded at the moment. So I don't think Fury would ever take this fight lightly, but if there's a case of he's thinking, oh, well, I've got him at the best possible time, it might be the worst possible time, because now he might fight like he's got nothing left to lose. And, you know, Fury is not the most elusive, hardest person in the world to hit. There's enough of a target to catch. Otto Wallin's caught that target. Vladimir Klitschko caught it in their last few rounds. Deontay Wilder's dropped him 4 times over 3 different fights. You know, it's not outside the realm of possibility that things could escalate in that way. But the main point of this is not even to talk about a fight that's not good, that hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's more so to say that Fury's team, they've literally got no way out of this right now, because they put in all the terms, they made everything, you know, fit for what they wanted, and everything's been agreed to seemingly without resistance. The only thing was maybe the rematch clause. They wanted a 60-40 reverse split, but they've agreed 50-50. AJ's been like, whatever you want, take it. I just want the fight. So now we'll see if the fight does happen. But if it doesn't, there's no way, I don't think AJ's team can be blamed. Although I'm sure they'll find some way to try and creatively make that the case. But I mean, we've seen enough of it play out in the media that can't be the case, in my opinion at least. But look, let me leave that one there. Thank you very much for watching. There should be another upload later on today. But for now, I will leave that there. Again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, share the content. Hardcore Casual, out.